Welcome back to Dirty Pretty, the space where we own our feelings, honor our experience, share unfiltered truths, and talk shit, all through a lens of love. Today, I'm intending to keep this short and sweet. First of all, I have been on a gardening expedition and really just kind of taking care of my yard this year and making sure to pull all the weeds. And anyhow, this is the result of that. So if you see my glove throughout the conversation, what this is, can you see these? Yeah, you can see them. So you see each one of these little lines has copper in them. And I read it online that said, like, this is far better than continuing to take Tylenol and Advil and all that stuff for pain. But sometimes when I am gardening, my hands are a really big tool that I use when I'm doing things. And I had both gloves on earlier this week, but this one is still hurting me, particularly in this right finger. And typically after I wear them for a few days, it just goes away. So that's what you see. That's what that's about. But today I wanted to keep it short because I don't know, it just felt like it, let alone. But sometimes when I say I want to keep things short, I get, a wild hair and things keep rolling on. So this is going to go where it's going to go. Otherwise, I just wanted to say, welcome back to Dirty Pretty, the space where we own our feelings, honor our experience, share unfiltered truths, and talk shit, all through a lens of love. Today, first and foremost, I'm wearing this glove. If you see it come up through the conversation, I had a wild gardening expedition this past weekend and used my hands as tools, maybe a little bit more than they liked. What is this? It's a compression glove, and can you see these little lines right here? These are copper. They're bendable, like it's elastic and latex. But they are copper, apparently, copper little lines throughout here. And I read and did the research, versus taking Tylenol and Advil after Advil, which is really not that good for your liver over time. These compression gloves were reported to work fantastically. And I can attest that I've been using them for probably 3 years now. And anytime I do work around the house or, I use my hands a lot for things, sometimes they get sore. And so I use these compression gloves, and lo and behold, within a few days, it goes away. I got them on Amazon. If you want to know where I got them and what it is specifically, send me a message and I'll be happy to share it with you. Otherwise, today my intention is to keep this short and sweet. And I say that understanding that sometimes I can be long-winded. You know that. Sometimes I catch a wild hair and then the conversation goes where it flows, and I like that. But today I simply wanted to share a little bit of an insight about where the braid framework came from for me. And it really truly is, and this is an oversimplification. Let me say that. As I've shared with you, it is taking me years to get to this place of self-awareness and conscious congruence with myself, which is what the braid framework is built foundationally upon. But what that work had brought me to is a realization, and the realization was literally like, I went through all this work, as I said, but one day I woke up and it was like I opened my eyes and I looked around and I thought, I didn't create these rules. I didn't create these norms. I didn't create these standards. Nobody asked me what I thought about life and relationship and what it takes and all that jazz. I didn't make this world. I don't have to live in it. And I know that that sounds very controversial. Ron Dass, as I speak of him a lot in my work and my speakings, had a sentiment that said, learn to be in the world, but not of the world. And it was like one day I woke up and that was vibrating in my body. And the awareness was, well, if I make this world, and this world doesn't really have a lot of room for the fullness of me, I can live concurrently with this world because you're here, I'm here, hi. But I don't have to live in the dynamic and the norms and the standards and the rules and the rigidities that it offers. Because what it offers doesn't offer a whole lot of room for people like me. And so I thought to myself, well, that don't work. And I'm not interested on taking the exit just yet. I'm going to make my own world. And realizing that was quite the liberation. And as I shared with you, it wasn't just like one day I woke up and boom, everything was fine. No, definitely not. It took a lot of work. And I share that with you not because I want to alarm you. I share that with you because I want to inform you that consciousness has a cost. Everything has a cost. And when I saw that cost of continuing to subscribe to dynamics that didn't create any room for me to breathe in them, I saw how it was impacting that I felt that way. Think of being in a relationship that's not really healthy for you. It doesn't really want all of you. You leave that relationship not because, breakups and rupture and endings are always so desirable. Sometimes they are, but not always. But you leave that relationship because it's not congruent. You're not a match. There's this much room in the relationship and you're this big. So you take agency and you take responsibility and you say, I gotta leave, see you, bye, peace be with you. And you do what you need to do to keep yourself moving, to keep yourself regulated, to keep enjoying life. And so I thought, well, I'm going to take my exit here. I'm going to boop, 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 but get out of that world and reconsider what it means to be alive and in relationship. And when I started to consider that, I started to see a pattern in the way that we as people and our culture has been built to relate. And I want to say, as I caveated last week, this is not my way of vilifying the world. I love life. It's why having suicidal ideations was so traumatizing for me because I didn't know myself as this person that just wanted to say, I can't do it anymore like this. And that terrified me. And I can share that story with you that I had that reckoning at a different time. But I'm not vilifying the world. I love the world. I love being alive. I love relationship, but I don't love the way that relationship is widely conducted in our world. And I understand that there's reason why it evolved the way that it did. A lot of the evolution that happened, I don't understand. And the way that we've treated each other, I do not understand. And my mind wants to simplify it and be like, couldn't there have been a nicer way to do these things and evolve and create? And I say that simplified because I wasn't alive then. I don't know what the circumstances were. So I keep that conscious. And all that to say is, I don't believe in absolutes. I don't believe that there is one right way and one wrong way. I believe that it's all relative. And so I say that because I don't want to vilify those that look at life and are like, it works for me. I fucking love that for you, man. Like, I love that for you. It did not work for me. I so fucking wish it did. I so wished it did. But at some point, you got to look at something when it's not working and go, that's not working. Just like the breakup situation. You don't want to get into a relationship where you're like, I have butterflies and I think I like this person and oh my God, and it feels so wonderful. And then one day be like, it don't no more. It feels like big stinky poo poo. I don't like it. And then you leave. And a lot of times there's that feeling of like, God, I fucking wasted my time. But then a lot of times there's also the other feeling of, well, I learned a lot about me. And then sometimes it's both, right? And I think that that's the way I want to share with you that I look at the world and the Brave Framework looks at the world. It's not an either or, it's a both and. And so while this dynamic, as I've shared of the world, doesn't work for me and I have to create my own to be in it but not of it, to be of my own awareness, of my own dynamic nature, be on my own fucking team, I realized that in doing that for myself, I really wanted to do that for you too. I really want to do that for my nieces and my nephews. And it makes me emotional every single time because I think of a world that they could live in that makes being with each other so much easier. It makes relating to each other such a gift because it is. Even in those moments where there's a relationship that ruptures and you move on separately, we learn so much. Even in the passing of my father, which felt like ripping my soul out, I learned so much. That's hard. There's a lot of guilt that I have in that. There's a lot of guilt of saying I have so much gratitude for what I learned from my dad's passing. It's fucked. It's crazy. And maybe one day I'll be able to like, oh, that all makes sense. But it's not today. And even though it doesn't make sense, I still walk with it and its wisdom with gratitude. And that's what I learned about saying, okay, well, that doesn't work. I'm going to shift into this ideology because that's new and I like newness and that old thing doesn't work. So let's try on a new outfit. I'm all about trying on new outfits. You know that, new tattoos, new hairstyles, all the things. And as I started to have that new relationship with reality of like, whoa, this gets to be so much more refreshing. This gets to be so much more regulated. It also revealed to me that as a culture, we have a relationship with collapse. And the collapse is the rupture I'm talking about, right? It's almost like we use pain and hardship to validate pleasure. And in that collapse that occurs between us, where there's difference and things, we use that as a gateway for connection. And the collapse that we deal with consistently is being confronted by differences instead of being curious about them. And that's really confusing to me. And it was confusing to me when I was going through it myself. And this is not to shame that experience. It's to highlight it and to illuminate it and to say I relate. I wasn't always aware that there was another opportunity and another way to relate with people that wasn't so terrifying and conflicting at difference and more welcoming and gratifying and embracing the creativity that exists within it. And I think that that's because the collapse that our culture was built upon was control. And when there is control in a relationship, collapse is inevitable. And that's what I learned. That the collapse that happens when control occurs is self-dissolve. When we're people pleasing and fawning and betraying our self-worth and our honesty for safety, that's collapse at the result of control. Because control doesn't say, I want you, I want all of you. I want your trust, I want your respect, I want your crazy, I want your calm. I want all of it. Zigzaggy, all over the place. I fucking want it. Your inconsistency, your consistency, I want it. It says, no, you better behave this way or you will not be safe. I will judge you, I will attack you, and I will refuse you. And that has been the pathway that we have been walking as a culture to relationship, saying, you better be every fucking thing I need you to be or fuck off. It's not very welcoming. It doesn't create a lot of room for difference. It doesn't create a lot of room for evolution and change and progress. And so when I realized that the model, the relationship model that we are in culturally is we must have the collapse before we can have connection, my brain was like, ooh, well, that's fucked. I don't want nothing to do with that because that's what my life was like. That's what my experience of living was like. You better shut the fuck up. You better not be queer. You better not have questions. You better not deviate away from norms. God forbid you be neurodivergent. You just better follow the line. You just better operate according to what everybody says and what keeps everything status quo, or you will have a target on your back. And so when I realized this very painful reckoning of relationship in our culture, my heart broke. And as I shared with you last week, I had all these realizations that are flooding to me now of like all the moments where there was like, whoa, that was a earth shifting awareness, and that was an earth shifting awareness, and that, and that, and that, and that. And the example I gave was the HR generalist that I saw with such composure at the face of such venom. And I was like, yo, I didn't know you were allowed to do that. I didn't know you were allowed to be like, ooh, sounds like you're upset. Sorry about that. But that don't have nothing to do with me because I have been that person my whole life. And I have been facing scrutiny for it my whole life. I've been told I was cavalier. I've been told I was superficial or superior. And maybe to some people I am those things. But back then, that crushed me. It collapsed me. And it made me betray myself so that I could have connection. And when I saw that phrase, that saying, that story of, planting the tree today so that the fruits can be bloomed tomorrow, just kept permeating through my being of something is coming through me, something true, something real, something new, something emergent. And that emergence was choice, conscious congruence, relational resonance, a root rhythm. And all this stuff is coming in, and my brain's like, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck it means. What does it help? I'm in a glass case of emotions. Just so much channeling, so much information coming in, and so much grief. Because, like I said about that relationship, when you look at a relationship that doesn't work, you reflect on what didn't work about it, and hopefully you gain the wisdom from it. It can hurt. That grief can be hard, can sting. And the grief that I was reckoning with was that was how I learned to be in connection. I learned that if somebody didn't like what I was saying or what I was doing, it didn't fucking matter what my intention was. It didn't fucking matter how I felt or what I needed or what was real for me. It only fucking mattered that they were upset, and that mattered more than whatever the fuck I was. And if they were upset, then that meant I was wrong. And if I was wrong, then I had to self-dissolve. I had to people please. I had to betray myself in order to stay safe and in order to collect connection so I wouldn't feel alone. So, in that relational model that operates in rigidities and absolutes, there just isn't any room for someone like me. And unfortunately, for those that don't like that, I'm simply not the kind of girl that takes criticism and then lets it destroy her. But I didn't know that about myself until I could see the paradigm that our culture was operating in. And then when I saw it, I started to see that it was actually a lot more places than I was seeing because I wasn't present. I didn't know what my values were. I didn't know how to regulate my own emotions because I didn't know how to be present and what my values were and how to be in relationship with my emotions. I had no fucking idea what my perspective was. And because I had no fucking idea what my perspective was, I had no idea what my relationship to life was, love was, living, me, anything. No relationship to how much I really love romance in my reality, relationship, difference, exploration. And so for a while, I was really beaten down in that grief of, oh, this could have been so much different earlier, but it couldn't have been. I wasn't available for it. I didn't have the capacity to see myself that clearly and to see that it's okay for me to be this big inside of a world that wants me to be maybe just about this size. And I started to have compassion for that. And in the compassion, I started to be conscious of what I was seeing and what I was experiencing. And when I started to be conscious of what I was seeing and what I was experiencing, I started to have real empathy for the world and its evolution. And I stopped being so angry. I stopped wanting to take that side exit. I stopped wanting to shame myself for having suicidal ideations. And I really just let everything come into harmony at my own frequency. And that's where the braid framework came from. Recognizing that you have a beautiful frequency. I have a beautiful frequency. The wind, the flowers, the animals, the trees, the birds, the insects, everything has a beautiful frequency. Nature itself is its own frequency that says, I'm sorry, I don't give a fuck if you like my snow. I'm snowing today. Deal. And there's no reason why human relationships can't be the same. There's no reason why we can't say, I understand that you don't like my snow, but I'm snowing today. I have the right to snow today because that's who I am today. And everybody deserves that. And I think that the less vicious we become about those disparities and those differences and diversity, the more easy it becomes to navigate with that fluidity like a rhythm. And to find our rooting in each circumstance like a rhythm, and to understand that what rooting means doesn't mean stagnancy or absolutes. It means feeling into what is true in the moment and allowing that to be real, allowing that to be resonant, and allowing people and you to be in relationship with it. So I wanted to share with you today what I said was going to be short. I don't even know. That was probably like 20, 25 minutes, but whatever. It's the time, it's whatever it is. Um, and I'm really happy that I got the chance to share this with you today because it's something I haven't been able to articulate. And I have to tell you, the more that I share about the braid framework, the more clear I become about myself, and the more clear I become about its place in the world, and the more clear I become about the importance of recognizing nuance with neutrality, not as indifference, not as apathy, but as a way of saying it is what it is. Take it or leave it. But does it have to be with violence? Does it have to be tearing someone down? Do we really want to continue the paradigm of collapse in order to connect? I don't. And if you don't want to either, you don't have to. And I believe that's why you're here. So thanks as always for being here with me today. Thank you for any piece or part of this that resonated with you. And if you want to share with me what felt meaningful for you in this conversation, please do so. Please also give a like to listening to this podcast or wherever you're consuming it. It surely helps me and helps people like us continue to find each other. And if you feel like any piece or part of this might resonate with someone that you care about, please share it with them. I would sure appreciate it. Otherwise, as always, please be good to yourself for fuck's sake. Live honestly in the dirty, pretty, dynamic nature of your life. And please choose to do the next right thing for you. Until next time, bye.